Jiro here for Umbra Games with a review of the Solus Project on Xbox One. The Solus Project was co-developed by Teotl Studios and Grip Digital. It was available on Steam Early Access on PC before being released in full on June 7th, 2016. A port to Xbox One was available the following month on July 15th. I actually wasn't even aware of this game until fellow YouTuber and subscriber JI383 requested a review on it. A giant star is getting ready to collide with Sol, so humans set out on a celestial journey to locate hospitable planets, a journey called the Solus Project. You choose to be a male or female protagonist, part of the crew of Solus 3, which is destroyed in orbit by some unknown force, sending its life pods tumbling towards the surface. Immediate signs point to you being the only remaining survivor on a seemingly uninhabited planet, but things change pretty quickly. After a few days of exploration, you find one of your now deceased crewmates had been working on a communications tower, scavenging pieces of the crashed vessel that had fallen to the planet's surface, and that seems to be your only hope. Unfortunately, navigating to the various islands to gather these pieces sends you to an underground cave system, where you begin to see signs of civilization, and not friendly ones. I've seen the Solus Project classified in many places as a survival game, another genre that I kind of feel has blurred lines. Much like RPG mechanics being added to pretty much everything these days, I feel like the survival tag functions the same way. And you'll have to excuse me because I haven't played a whole lot of them. Some people had put that label on No Man's Sky, for instance. And aside from a hardcore Fallout New Vegas run, I don't have a whole lot of experience in this realm. Survival in these games often means the environment itself is your enemy, and you must eat, drink, and sleep, and often be forced to find shelter. The Solus Project has a calorie counter, a fluid ounce counter, body temperature, and sleep counter that tick down at a fairly quick rate. The hotter your body temperature, the faster you'll get thirsty, and once any of those counters reaches the bottom, it will start depleting your health. Now, when first thrown into the game, I had a small sense of panic searching for food sources because edible plants weren't easily spotted amidst all the tall grass, but you're quickly introduced to a cave with an endless water supply and safety from the elements. You can find water bottles around ship wreckage, and aside from your limited inventory space that can be expanded by finding additional backpacks, you can carry around all the bottles you need. The game quickly changes pace though, offering alien food and water stations very frequently while underground, so finding the resources you need becomes more of an annoyance of just backtracking to the closest trough rather than resource management. The oddest thing though is that you can make a torch out of a pipe and roots dipped in oil, and it will literally last you from day one until the end, only being extinguished if you jump into water, but can easily be relit. The weather is a different story. The planet of Jalise 6143C that you're marooned on has scorching days, as well as sub-zero snowy days, as well as random meteor showers, electrical storms, and tornadoes. The music that associates one of these meteorological anomalies amplifies the tension of getting to safety that much more. In fact, the soundtrack for the entire game does a magnificent job with building this world and keeping you on edge. But yeah, I would say more than 50% of the game takes place under the surface, though, where the temperatures are much more regulated, and aside from lava and icy areas, are easily managed. In addition, you find devices on your journey that you can load cold and hot light crystals into to create a heating or cooling device, which pretty much takes care of all extreme temperatures from that point on. At heart, though, the Solus Project felt more like playing an adventure game, like Myst or Broken Sword, in the true old-school sense of the phrase. It's not point and click, but you must find keys and solve puzzles to delve further and further into the mystery. Most involve finding said keys for locks, or swords to create switches, with a few involving some button pushes as well. I personally encountered more issues of just not knowing where to go in some of the massive environments, or, for instance, ladders that started 8 feet up a wall and the rungs were hardly visible. There's a lot of exploration involved. The game has tons of secrets hidden very well that offer bonuses to movement speed and resource and environment resistances at very small increments. I mean, we're talking like 1% each. The game also tracks the journals from fellow travelers and engravings of the previous civilizations for the completionists out there. The Solus Project features no character interactions, just the protagonist occasionally giving recordings through his tricorder-like device known as Wilson, and also the Prolus command ship occasionally sending transmissions, getting desperate, wondering if everyone is dead. While there are a great deal of traps and hazards to watch for, there are only 1 or 2 enemies to avoid, encountered a handful of times. There is no combat mechanic or the need for it. The game does feature quite a bit of mystery, and the unraveling did drive me a few times, but the ending payoff wasn't quite as satisfying as discovering the mysteries themselves. Now, I've also seen a lot of people use the term walking simulator about games of this type, and if we're handing out titles, then yeah, I agree. The communication tower you're building is on the second island you come to, and every area after that you're hoofing it through miles of underground cave, which you must then walk back through after doing what you need to on those other islands. You have a sprint meter, engaged by clicking the left stick, and I highly recommend taking the double sprint meter faster sprint recovery equipment you're offered at the beginning of the game. Even then, your character won't sprint upstairs, so you're having to click and click again. Jumping also removes sprint state. So much of the terrain is bumpy and uneven that your sprint is often broken, making nimble movement quite a pain. Attempting some of the platforming areas was frustrating as well, often mistaking jumps you think you can make and taking severe fall damage instead. To help remedy some of this, you find a teleportation device early in the game where you can shoot this disc and then teleport yourself to wherever it lands. Unfortunately, it just doesn't go very far. This mechanic is also used in some puzzle solving, helping you to get some areas you wouldn't be able to get through due to tight space or because it's too big of a drop. If you are too close to the object you're trying to jump at times, your jump won't even execute. Again, nothing game-breaking here, just a major accumulation of little annoyances. Subjectively speaking though, I did have runs of boredom navigating around some of the larger areas as well as backtracking. The biggest problem I had with most of the game's areas though is how dark the world is. My eyes were getting bloodshot to what I could only imagine was the eye strain of trying to see things in the dark. I stupidly had one situation where I jumped in the water with my torch while running from something, even got an achievement called Dummy, and went into the next cave area with my only source of light extinguished. I had to fumble around until I reached a candle that I had previously lit. You can get light crystals, but the light just doesn't reach out far enough, and the solar-powered flashlight just seemed like too much work. There is one area of the game that creeped me out and gave me goosebumps worse than any game ever had. I couldn't make them go away. There was also a second area that gave me goosebumps as well, but looking back, those things were extremely out of place, very horror tropey, where this game's themes are primarily driven on science fiction. But props to Seattle Studios for rattling my nerves of steel. Now, this is the second Xbox One game in a row I've played that had killer load times. Switching areas is about 1:15 to 1.5 minutes, and you also have to deal with this when you die as well. If anyone plays this on PC, please let me know in the comments if you face this as well, or if it's an Xbox One issue. So, the Solus Project is an adventure survival hybrid, and rated as such, receives a 54 on my scale out of a true 1 to 100, 50 being an average game. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching. Have a game you'd like an objective review for? Hit me up on Twitter, @Umbra Games, and subscribe here for notifications of new videos.